Welcome back to Inside Sources. I have a second guest today, and we'll be talking about what has been happening for a long time, which occurred again, sadly, on Christmas Eve, where so far we have more than 100 people killed just before Christmas. I'm talking about the situation, the very disturbing situation in Plateau, 3 local governments in Plateau. To discuss this issue with us today, I have a veteran of the Nigerian military who was actually a commander in the Operation Save Heaven that was based in Plateau and who has experience in the work. He was also a former sector commander of the United Nations force in Sudan. Let me welcome Major General Anthony, retired Major General Anthony Atolagbe. You are welcome to Inside Sources, General.
Yeah, good morning, good afternoon, Laulu, and good afternoon to the audience.
So, General, I want us to take it from the point of view of what has been a critical review of the response of the security agencies to what happened on Christmas Eve in the 3 local governments of Bakos, Bakinladi and Mangu, where over 100 people were killed. Now, some of the narrative that has come out is that some of the security agencies did say that they couldn't assess the location, that it was difficult to assess the location. And, there has been quite a lot of critical pushback that how did those people, the terrorists, how did they get there if the military couldn't get there? So based on your own experience, you were a sector commander in that particular theater. How do you respond to that, General?
2 issues you mentioned, the logistics and the route to the action spots. The logistic aspect, I am very well aware that is taken care of by the federal government through the defense headquarters. If anything has changed, I might not be able to tell, but the logistics, I think, is manageable and is deployable for any kind of threat around the area. The issue of the routes to the locations, I will say that there are some approaches to some of the locations that are very bad. If you go through Bokos towards the dam, towards where there's a dam somewhere, where you go through, pass through Bakinladi, go through Bokos, you enter in, then you get to another place where there is a dam. The area around that place was where the other incident took place when I was there, where the imam had to house some people in the mosque. There was no way the people were even going to escape. So the only escape route was for them to move to the mosque. If they had options, they would have. But the place is deep into the some gully areas like that where the people actually are living.
Now, do you think that it is acceptable and excuse that the security agencies couldn't assess the place? Should we as a people accept that kind, of excuse? That's actually what I'm trying to get at, General, if you don't mind.
Okay, let me give you an example of what I think could avert such things. Because I could recall that when I was there, I did an estimate and I discovered that most of the action spots don't have roads. They are track roads. So how do you, and when the higher authorities want to give you the logistics, they give you vehicles. What are you going to do with vehicles in those areas? So I started buying motorcycles I go to Kaduna, Jos Road, at the junction there, I buy motorcycles. I started, and then there were some motorcycles that were seized from some people before I got there. By the time I was leaving, I had 60 of them. And I trained the troops on motorcycle operations. So it was a little easier for us to carry out pursuits. But if we go with vehicles, then it may be difficult, as they are saying.
Do you know whether do you know whether those motorcycles are still being used? Because you are saying that those motorcycles, would have made it possible to access these distant places.
Yeah, like that place I actually described that during that incident. So a distance of about, I think, less than 5 kilometers. It takes almost an hour to get there. And the funniest part, I think the network also in the area was bad. So those are some of the factors that perhaps might have, I'm not there, but I know there are some bad approaches to some of those locations. But with motorcycles, the responses could have been a lot better. Okay, not vehicles.
So when you were the commander in that place, what was the kind of response time, that you had to deal with, if you had any such experience? What
we did was to make sure that these motorcycle guys are deployed across the terrain, especially the hot spots. But in almost all the space where we were operating, motorcycles were just the best that we could employ. In fact, in the night, when the Fulani cattle are rustled, they call us, and the motorcycle will go after the rustlers and get the cattle back from them. Unlike what used to happen before, they will only call in the morning when they have already taken their cattle away. But we were catching up with them and collecting the cattle to make sure that, and in fact, we lock all entries around Plateau State that time in the evening so that no trailer can move out with cattle in them until we are able to verify the owners of those cattle.
Well, General,
those were the measures we put in place.
Now, so thank you. The part of the problem, in my view, and based on my own understanding of this situation, is that this problem has been on for a long time, and it seems that the perpetrators are essentially the same, and that there's a lot of impunity. They are either not arrested, or if they are arrested, they are later released and they come back again. In your own experience, what is the role of impunity playing in perpetrating some of these crises? The role of, not getting the people involved properly punished, not imposing consequences. Based on your experience, General, how much damage do you think that does to the situation, which then led to another attack on Christmas Eve?
Okay, when I got there, there was a bill, I think, in the House of Assembly to review the administration of justice in Plateau State, which was not yet out. So, in the initial administration of justice document that the state has, arresting somebody with weapons, I think I learned, will cost 2,000 pounds or so. So it was easy to bail people. But with the review then, when I made I look at the whole situation, I didn't have any equipment to carry out arrest. Like in Miango now, for example, they are saying that, the Fulanis are saying that they bought the land for 99 years. But when the crisis took place, they drove them away. So what happens to the land? Those are some of the things that make them to want to fight their way back into the area. Then we have instances where cows, they go to destroy farms. When they go to destroy farms, that's maybe they ask their children to follow their cattle to go and graze, and the children match the cows, which we say, yes, they are also wrong. and we take measures to make sure that the payment is made, but it cannot be the same. So in that direction, you now see a situation where the farmers also go after the cows.
I mean, you were in that theater and operated for a number of years. So what are the main sides to this dispute? We know that there are farmers on the one hand who are assumed to be the quote unquote the indigenes, and then we have the elders. Now, is this the only nature of the crisis, or are there other religious or other dimensions to it? Is it just I know that there's a bit of farmer-elders clashes in this conflict, but is that everything that is happening in the theater of the conflict, or are there other things going on?
To the very best of my understanding, there is a kind of historical background to this situation. So people need to read up. I see a lot of people making comments on TV and so on. Some of them are not actually informed about what is going on in most of these conflict zones. They need to visit the locations, talk to the people, find out what the situation is before you go on air and start talking. What am I saying? There are some background to some of this situation which we all know in this country. So that is a part. The second aspect of it is that as time goes on, there is some level of injustice that are not being carried out. You will find out that
you mean injustice
attackers
that
will
are
exploit
not,
more.
Yeah, General, just to put it clear, you mean injustice that have not been redressed?
Yes. So the attackers will feel free to explore more. And that's what is happening. There is usually a government in the state, and each of them come and do their own thing and still pretend as if this situation is beyond me. Like a lot of people are recommending, if there is a team, because I'm aware that a lot of things have been done in terms of report and other things, nothing's been done. In 2018, when I was there, when we had the incident, they said they should go and establish a mopole. The mopole, I don't know, maybe it's a regiment or whatever, in that place. Mm-hmm. If it's there now, I don't know. There should be some elements of the police also spread across the area so that this free movement of people holding weapons will stop. I don't know the extent. I've not been to the location.
I think there was also a recommendation to have a military base in the area.
Yes. So, and then it was there. It was in the meeting when the VP Osibajo came and told the state that I feel assess the 6 billion naira that is provided for peace building and peace consolidation. It was like, no, they've never heard about it. Okay, we are going to apply. Okay, if they had applied before now, what has been done? Or was the money released, or was it not released? So some of these things are things that are supposed to have been done. So I will just say here that, look, it's good if you want to provide a solution to a problem. Set up an implementation strategy and follow it step by step. We need to develop what we call national will. People are talking about political will. Is it only politicians that are operating in this country?
I wanted to have your take on the allegations, which is basically everywhere. It's gone viral. It's been around for a while. General T.Y. Danjuma actually said on national TV, and it went viral on social media, everybody has heard this, that in many of these instances, some of this violence, these conflicts, that you have people colluding within the security agencies, including the military. It was even very specific. What's your opinion about that?
Well, I read in the papers that one of the STF commanders also said a similar thing. I think maybe they have their facts. And that's the reason why there's need to bring people on board to do certain jobs in this direction. General T.Y. Danjuma is not somebody that talks out of the news. So, and General Yola also, I am sure, is not just fabricating story. So I think in all of this, if there is an evidence that such things exist, the military has a way of handling it.
You have been in the theater. You commended the military action. What do you think has to be done, from your own experience, if you were to have the opportunity to speak to the commander-in-chief or the president, that this is what you need to do to stop this situation? What will you say, General?
The state has what they call peace building architecture. It's a book, it's a booklet. And to the best of my understanding, I did a study on that, and I found out that it contains quite a lot of things that could remedy some of these things. What I know is that the state might not have enough money to implement most of their the strategies they had laid out. So maybe in that direction, if the federal government provides such avenues for them to access funds, then, or maybe they set up a committee to look at it, then they'll be able to see what level of assistance they can give to the state to go to assist. Then the other thing is, look, government should not be lukewarm. If you find an insecurity situation within your state over the years, and the government come and they go, and they are not doing anything about it, then they are not doing enough. So I know a lot of them are scared. Maybe if you go and start doing something, or let me not use the word that they are scared. They are just being like, okay, I don't want to create any problem.
You are speaking of governors now.
People, yes, those in power also, you go there, maybe if you go after some people, maybe they will come and go to your village and raise the place down. Some of those things are there.
But if we have, General, okay, as we wrap up, if we have a situation where the people that are supposed to be in charge of the security themselves are afraid, what kind of future do you think that portends to our security as a people? Last question, General.
So is the reason why the federal government has to take this thing on by itself. I think it's either the situation is underreported, or that national will I'm talking about is not there. There's a youth organization, that have, they have the goal of, seeing how peace can be achieved. But who is listening to them?
Anyway, General,
2018.
Because of our time, we will have to continue this conversation some other time. And thank you so much for providing the insights that you have given. We hope and believe that the government, especially like you said, the federal government led by the president, will take the effective actions to stop this recurrent crisis, in Plateau and in other parts of the country. We have to be hopeful, and the president has spoken, to say that this will be dealt with. So let's be hopeful, and we keep the discussion going on. Thank you so much for your time.